Today, I am voting for our independence. I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. That was funny. Okay, never mind. Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Frances, and for today's video, I will be voting for the Goodreads Choice Awards. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, Goodreads is this platform wherein you can actually rate and give reviews to a lot of your beloved books. Basically, it's like a safe haven for bookworms out there. Now, I'm not saying Goodreads is a good platform, but it is the most famous one out there. So, even though it's clunky as hell, I am actually a very avid fan of Goodreads. Okay, I won't say fan, it's more of like I'm a very avid user of Goodreads, and I actually have this habit of going into Goodreads right after completing or finishing a book that I read. Right after reading the last page, the last sentence, the last word, the very next thing that I do is open up my phone and go to Goodreads and put a review, because I'm sure with this very one brain cell brain of mine I would completely forget whatever I read 5 minutes later. So it's a habit of mine that I've been building. Honestly, Goodreads is a very clunky website, but it is the best, not the best, it is the most famous one out there, so I still continuously use it. If you guys have other recommendation for such websites for me, please do tell me below down in the comments, because I am looking for one. I've heard of Storygraph. I think I tried it once before when it was just in like a beta stage, but I wasn't feeling it, so I stopped using it. But maybe I should pick it up or pick some other up. Let me know. Anyway, so giving you a background of that, Goodreads is that girl in the bookish community, and what they do is they hold these awards every year. So every end of year, they choose the most popular, the most famous, the top-rated books from each book category, and they ask their users to vote for their favorite one in that list of books. So for example, for the romance category, they would usually have like an Emily Henry book or an Ali Hazelwood book out there for the past few years at the very least, and then of course us users would choose which one is our most favorite, which one is our favorite off the list that they provide, and then they will release the results by the end of the year. So we are now at the part of the year wherein they release the list of the top rated or the most popular books in each category. I'm actually not sure how they choose it. I have a gut feeling it's really based on popularity or the most rated books for each category, but correct me if I'm wrong, right? So they just released the Goodreads Choice nominees for the year of 2023, and I am excited to see which books made the cut, and I will be using my right as a citizen of the bookish community to vote for my favorite one for each category. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to be doing my skincare routine because it's very late at night and I'm going to sleep right after this. So there's that. I have my laptop with me, and I will probably start recording separately in this laptop. Okay, so I have my profile with me. As you can see, you have this Goodreads Choice Awards 2023. Before I click on that, I will just start my skincare routine, and maybe just preface this by saying that I will probably have better opinions or better votes for the romance, the YA, and the fantasy category. So usually, honestly, I don't read much of the other genres. Probably just one actually not even non-fiction, but one like general fiction every year, and then like a couple of mysteries here and there. This year, actually, I really just focused on, I would say, the romance and the fantasy categories. So you should probably not trust my opinions on the other categories, because I will not be providing a very good feedback for them. So just know that moving forward, outside of the romance category, outside of the fantasy category, outside of the YA category, I probably do not have a very reliable opinion on these books that will be listed here. So keep that in mind while you read my videos. I'm here for the vibes, so I will still vote for them because it is my right as a citizen. As we all should also vote anywhere else that we can. I will take fantasy, romance, and the categories that I like very seriously. For the other ones, I'll just read the synopsis, base it off of what's familiar and what actually piqued my interest. Because again, this is more of a popularity game, okay? I'm not taking this seriously, and neither should you. Anyway, let's start then. But anyway, okay. Moving on for the Goodreads. What is happening? Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, as you can see here, it is 1:30 a.m. right here in the Philippines as I'm filming this, and that is why I am rambling, and that is why I probably don't make sense, and that is why I probably won't make sense moving forward. So also keep that in mind. Okay, now I am gonna cast my vote. So this is actually what you will see. For those of you not familiar with Goodreads and you actually want to get in on the hype, etc., you just create your profile, and then you, on the homepage, you will be able to see this during a certain period of time. Now, I think for the Goodreads Choice Awards 2023, they will be opening the voting period from November 14 to November 26. So if you want to get in on that and use your right and be able to vote, then do it or create a profile on or before November 26. Okay, so I will cast my vote now, and then you can see here the list of categories and like a sneak peek on who are nominated for each category. Okay, so first things first, it says here best books of 2023. Again, I don't know what the criteria for best is. It's probably based on popularity or most rated or most top rated books this year, and do take note that they take a look at which ones were released during the year, meaning that was the cutoff from last year until the cutoff from this year. Again, I'm not sure what the cutoff was, but probably like a month or so ago, when they first released this. So it says opening round, so there is an opening round. I actually did not know that. I didn't know that the voting period goes twice, but apparently this is the opening round and there is a final round. So learning. You learn something new every day. Okay, so Goodreads Choice Awards for 2023, Best Books of 2023. The choice is yours. Vote for the best books of the year in the 15th Annual Goodreads Choice Awards, the only major book awards decided by readers. Oh, okay, it's the 15th year of them doing this. Good for them. So opening round ends in 8 days again by November 26th. And so far, wow, already there has been 2,103,432 votes cast. So that's not bad at all. Although I don't remember what the other years were in terms of vote numbers. I don't think that's a small number. I think that's a pretty big number. So kudos. I love it. It's gaining traction. So let's look at the categories. First is fiction, of course, historical fiction, mystery and thriller, romance, romantasy. Oh, this is actually a completely new genre. There was never a romantasy category before. Huh. Okay, I love that. As a romantasy girly, I freaking love that. Oh my god, I feel so seen. Finally, there is a romantasy. You know what? Good for them. Not just because I'm a romantasy girly, but also because I don't want to overshadow other good fantasies out there, right? Like, romantasy has a lot of following. And sometimes it's unfair for awards like these wherein it's voted on by a group of people for other fantasy books that are not considered romantasy or not like for the mass to be overshadowed by a genre like what Goodreads is now acknowledging, by a genre that is really popular by the readers. So kudos, like, it's good that they split romantasy from fantasy, so they now have a separate genre for it. Then there's of course fantasy, science fiction, horror, young adult fantasy, young adult fiction. Huh. I'm actually, okay, I don't know if I just didn't know or I didn't notice, but yes, I didn't know there was a young adult fiction which is separate from young adult fantasy. If that's not new, ignore me right now, I'm sorry. But this is the first time I'm seeing, or this is the first time I'm noticing it at least. Next is debut novel. So next is debut novel, wherein all the debut authors are bunked here. Nonfiction, memoir, and autobiography, history and biography, and humor. Okay, so like what I said, I probably have probably a bit more informed in terms of voting. Sorry, I'm doing this to my face because I'm again doing this while doing my skincare routine. So I'm probably just gonna be a very informed voter when it comes to romantasy, maybe a bit of fantasy, and young adult fantasy. All the rest, I would not be giving a very informed opinion on them, but I would try to check which ones I like based on the synopsis. So again, you don't come here for like memoir and autobiography. You don't come to me for nonfiction. That's just facts, right? Like that, I'm not the platform for that. So if you're expecting a really good feedback or a really good choice for those genre, you have come to the wrong place. Anyway, moving on, I will still vote for those genres because again, exercise our right to vote, but again, just not an informed opinion on them. Okay, so it also gives you like a clue on which books that are on your shelves, meaning ones you have read or ones maybe on your TBR, are actually nominated for any of these genres. So far, I only have 2, or maybe that's just like what they can show you. So I have 2 books nominated in one of the lists here. So the first one is Divine Rivals. I am not surprised. And the second one is Fourth Wing. I am also not surprised. Like, yes, I actually predict that these 2 would win whatever category they're in. So yeah. So voting schedule. Okay, so this actually shows me that there are 2 voting rounds. First is November 14 to 26, which is currently the one that I'm doing right now. Then there's another round of voting, the final round, November 28 to December 3, and the winners will be announced by December 7. And then you can probably go on and check the previous awards. I will not do that. We came here for the voting. I will show you my votes. So first up is fiction. And again, I am not an informed voter for this one. We have Hello Beautiful, Anna Napolitano, Wellness, Evil Eye, Yellow Face. Oh wait, I might be an informed voter in this one. Big Swiss, I have been seeing this book everywhere, Tom Lake by Anne Patchett, sorry. So I've been seeing this book everywhere, Tom Lake by Anne Patchett. Apparently it's good enough to be here. Jojo Moyes, I know like previous works of her. I think she's a very well-known romance fiction author. And then this one has a really cute cover. This one intrigues me so bad. But out of everything that I'm seeing here, I've actually only read one book, and that is Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang, because R.F. Kuang is my favorite author ever. My favorite series is the Poppy War trilogy, and nothing can top that, at least so far. And like, I have vowed to read every one of her books. I have not yet finished Babel, but I will be finishing that one up. And Yellow Face, while it's not like amazing like the Poppy War, since it's like the only thing that I've read from this list, I think that just defaults it as my option, right? And honestly, it's not that bad. It's actually really good, but it's not her best work. That's all I'm gonna say. But I do know this is a very popular book, not just with me or R.F. Kuang fans, but like in general. It actually shows a lot about literary agents, the publishing life, and I think it's very controversial in a sense that you will hate the main character. So there's that. Hold on, before I actually click vote for that, I will just finish off my first step in my skincare routine. Okay, so I guess I will be voting for Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang for Best Fiction. Casting in my vote. Okay, next category, but I am just sharing that in this genre, The Wishing Game is very interesting. Also, where was that? The Sun, Blackouts by Justin Torres. Also, I find the cover very interesting. Okay, next category is Best Historical Fiction. I have no clue on any of these books. I am giving you full disclosure again. But it's not YA fantasy, if it's not fantasy, if it's not romance, if it's not romantasy. I have no clue what these books are. So I was thinking of either going with Lady Tan's Circle of Women, because I love empowerment. I don't know how to speak anymore because it is 1:46 a.m. in the morning. as I said with the AM. Okay, I am thinking about going with The Echo of Old Books or Lady Tan's Circle of Women because women empowerment. But I'm gonna go with this because this one's pretty cool. I don't know why I say it like that. This one's pretty cool. I will vote for The Echo of Old Books by Barbara Davis. Vote for Best Historical Fiction. And me winging it based on which one's interesting. Yes. Okay, next category. Save me. Okay, Best Mystery and Thriller. Okay, I also have no idea for these ones. Actual mystery, they kind of freak me out, so I usually just read the synopsis. I find them cool, and then what I would do is I would listen to a podcast about them to find out what happens, or like hear the actual story of the book. Stephanie Sue is one of my favorite podcasters about like mystery books or mystery movies, but I just cannot read it by myself, so I never read mystery and thriller books. But I know some of it. I don't think I know some of them, but I have seen a couple of them. I think I'll go with this one. So, an extraordinary novel inspired by, let's check this out. Let's also close out the other ones. This one is an extraordinary novel inspired by the real-life sorority targeted by America's first celebrity serial killer and his murderous spree. Okay, yeah, that is creepy, and yes, I would vote for that. I voted for Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. Next, please save me. Okay, here I am at home. I am home. I am now home. I am now my safe haven. I have read most of these books and I love them so much. Okay, we are now entering the best romance category voting. Okay, I know most of these. So I know Happy Place, of course, Emily Henry, I love her. Final Offer, Lauren Asher, also love her. Love Theoretically, Ali Hazelwood, love her. Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This is on my TBR, but I have read other Sarah Adams books. And The Likely Event, Rebecca Yarros. I have heard about this, of course, the author of Fourth Wing, but have not I never heard about this book particularly, but it's not really in my TBR and I didn't really plan to read it. Poking Around by Emily Rath. I have also heard about this because there was like a controversy about hockey things early this year. I don't know, but I never read it. The Right Move by Liz Tomford, of course, my love. I am absolutely in love with this. I've heard of these two, but have never read it. Also not in my TBR. The True Love Experiment. I have actually not read this, but I read the other one, so I don't know which one came first, this one or the one that I read. So I read The Soulmate Equation, also by Christina Lauren, and I think this actually follows it, or this is interconnected, but I've not read The True Love Experiment. You Again, yes, I've read this one. This is phenomenal. I thought she was a debut author. Shouldn't she also be in the debut novel category? But I don't know. But yes, this is also a romance. Elsie Silver, I plan to read the Chestnut Spring series later on. It's on my TBR, but I think this is the fourth book in that one. And then I have never seen these two things. The Long Game by Elena Armas, not read yet, not also on my TBR. Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I know Hannah Grace from Icebreaker. That was her first book and it was like a TikTok sensation, and now she just released Wildfire. Okay, I have not read neither of those two things, but I do plan to. They're on my TBR. King of Pride, I have also read them, of course. Kai, yes, I've read this one, and this is, oh wait, no, I've not read this one. I've read King of Wrath and the third book, which is King of Greed. I have not read this book, but I love the other two books. And then Abby Jimenez, Yours Truly. I have not read this one. I read the other Abby Jimenez one. I think it's The Third Part of Your World. So I've read Life's Too Short, but I have not read this one, Yours Truly. I heard it's good though. Okay, so which one do I like? I'm not sure, honestly. There's a lot of things I really like. So I'm just gonna talk about first the ones that I will remove from consideration already. So hear me out here. Hear me out before any violent reactions. I will probably remove Happy Place by Emily Henry, and only because, okay, I have a bias against second chance romances. Okay, if it's a second chance romance book, I automatically just don't like it, and It just does not work for me unless it's executed beautifully. And I'm not saying Emily Henry did not execute this beautifully. I think she's still great, but it just did not execute it well enough for the second chance romance part to be redeemed for me. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't like it overall. I like the story. I still like Emily Henry's writing, but like the direction of it, like it has everything going against it for me in the first place, and it's not its fault. Like, I'm just not the target audience for this type of romance, so I'm gonna skip right past that. I'm not even gonna consider it. I know this one's good, but I've never read it, so I don't have the right to vote for it. I mean, not that I didn't do that for the other categories, but you know what I'm saying. I read some of the other works. I probably should vote for the ones that I actually did read. So next is, I'm probably also gonna cross off Final Hours. So I won't vote for this because I did not completely enjoy this. This is actually, if I have to rate the Dreamland Billionaire trilogy, actually it's not a trilogy, it's like 3 books in a series, because they're not really just anyway. So if I have to rank the Dreamland Billionaire series or books, I would probably rate this the lowest one. So that's why I will not be voting for it here. I still love Lauren Asher. She's still one of my autobi authors. I'm just not completely in tune with this one. Again, this is a second chance romance book, and it has to be phenomenal for me to love that kind of book. So yes, I'm not gonna do this. Love Theoretically, I loved it, but also not a favorite of Ali Hazelwood. Like, I get why some people have this as their favorite one. I just realized I have not been doing my skincare routine, but I'll do that now. So I recognize why some people have Love Theoretically as their favorite Ali Hazelwood, because their favorite Ali Hazelwood book, because Ali Hazelwood has been improving for the past 3 books that she did. So kudos to her, but it's also a bit too like it's not my favorite of her works basically, but I still love Ali Hazelwood, so I will probably cross it out here. So that leaves me actually with these two, The Right Move and You Again. So I will cross out, and you might hate me for this actually, and you might judge me for this. I will actually cross out You Again because overall still a great book. I'm just saying that it wasn't right, like it just didn't hit me hard enough. Like, okay, maybe I'll just put it that way. Maybe this book just didn't hit me hard enough, and it didn't. And maybe when it comes down to it, my favorite romance is the type of romance where it would make me squeal and giddy. Again, I'm a very simple girl. If I pick up a romance book, I want to squeal, I want to be giddy, and You Again just didn't hit that for me. But The Right Move by Liz Tomford did. So if we're talking about romance, again, we're talking about romance as a category, and my preference, and this is like a People's Choice Awards, right? Like, I'm voting for what I want, and what I want is giddiness. What I want is giddiness. What I want is feel. What I want is to feel giddy about romance. And The Right Move was the romance book in this list that gave that the most for me. So I will be voting for The Right Move by Liz Tomford, and nobody can stop me. So yes, I voted for The Right Move by Liz Tomford. I don't think it will win, honestly, with like the contenders like Love Theoretically, Happy Place. I know a lot of people also like Abby Jimenez's Yours Truly. There's also a lot of following for Christina Lauren, and I know Elsie Silver, Hannah Grace, Ashley Poston, The 7 Year Slip also has. As you can see, guys, I have like a lot of TBRs here. I know a lot of these books have a lot of following. A lot of these books are more serious romance, but I would still choose, but this is my vote. It's The Right Move by Liz Tomford, and this is what, for me, is the best romance book that I read from this list. And it's more of a preference type than like an objective type, honestly. So take that as you will, but this is my vote. Next category is the best romantasy. Okay. Sorry. Oh, okay. I've actually read a couple of these. I did not. Okay, so let me just point out the ones that I did read. and then I'll point out the ones that are familiar. So I read The Fourth Wing, of course. Not that that's a surprise for anyone. I also read but did not finish The Jasad Heir. So this one is not bad, honestly. It's actually quite good. When I was reading, I just didn't find the time, or like I was prioritizing other books. So I would definitely pick this back up again. But I remember from what I read, like 30% in, it was really good. And then I also read The Hurricane Wars, of course. And then I read Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mirror. So that was something. I don't know how to describe it, but yes, it was something. Okay, what is familiar? Jennifer L. Armentrout, of course, she's familiar. Zodiac Academy, I've heard a lot of people rave about the whole series, but then I saw that it was like 5 books or something, and I am not a commitment girly. So I was like literally swipe left. I have also heard about The Foxglove King by Hannah Witten. I almost bought this in the bookstore like a few months ago, and I was really interested. I think I read a sample of it in Kindle, and I really wanted to like finish it. I just never had the time to. I had to prioritize other ones. This one was a new find for me, but also I plan to read A Dawn of Onyx. This summary was really interesting for me. I know about Carrie Maniscalco. She's a hit or miss for me, honestly. More misses than hits, so I skipped out on Throne of the Fallen. Of course, I know about Carissa Broadbent, both of these. And then Jennifer L. Armentrout. Oh my gosh, she has 3 books in this list, right? Yes, she has A Fire in the Flesh. She also has Fall of Ruin and Wrath, and A Soul of Ash and Blood. Wow, girly, she's winning. Well, not winning here, but like winning in like life, whatever. Okay, scratch that. It's like 2 a.m. I'm sorry. Okay, best romantasy. Let me see. Surprisingly, I haven't read a lot, right? Like for a category I'm supposedly like a part of or following, I haven't read a lot. So I don't know whether to feel bad or to like take that as an opportunity for me. But you know who I will be going for, right? Like let's recap the ones that I actually finished, because I didn't finish The Jasad Heir. I actually technically just finished 3 books. 3 books in this list. The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon, and Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mirror. And honestly, if I'm gonna be picking one that I enjoyed the most reading, and I loved all of them. I enjoyed reading all of them, but the one that I would rank the best out of the 3 is probably gonna be Fourth Wing. Like, I'm not, yeah, I know it's uncool to be like part of the crowd, and actually I know she's in a lot of controversy right now, but when it comes to like the books here, I would just really go with Fourth Wing, honestly. Or should I go with The Hurricane Wars? Yeah, I would. This is probably like super close, like The Hurricane Wars and The Fourth Wing, because I super loved the romance part of The Hurricane Wars. Like, say what you want against Hurricane Wars, but the romance part of Taliesin and Alaric are like top-notch enemies to lovers game. Like, I mean, they haven't even gone to the lovers part yet because the book ended, and I'm pretty sure there's more. But like the tension and everything is there. But yeah, I would. You know what? Because it's a romantasy. Now, here's the thing with Fourth Wing. It's very... how do I say this? Like, there's... In terms of the romance part of it, there's a lot of like, yes, I shouldn't like him because he's part of like the other group, the enemy people, and they shouldn't like each other because they're each other's enemies or something. There's a lot of that, but what I would say in terms of romance is there's not much to build on in terms of their interactions, if you get what I'm trying to say. So if I'm thinking about it in that sense, I would probably choose The Hurricane Wars, actually. Oh my god, did you just see my whole journey of going from one choice to another? Oh, what is happening? It's like 2 a.m. I should probably go to sleep. Okay, yeah. Here's the thing. I'm gonna take the romance part of this very seriously, I would probably go with the Hurricane Wars. Okay, you know what? If I'm gonna take the romantasy part of this very seriously, I would probably go with the Hurricane Wars. Why? In terms of the romance category, I know Fourth Wing, the vibes is there, honestly. Like, the vibes is there. Zayden and Violet, they're sizzling hot. Like, their tension with each other is sizzling hot. But honestly, the tension really just comes from the fact that they know they shouldn't like each other because they're enemies. But there's really nothing that would be like, oh wow, they're really suited for each other. Like, there's not much interaction. It's a lot. I would say it's a lot insta-love, actually. And maybe that's what would turn me off on the romance part. The fantasy part is, I mean, the dragons are interesting, but I would actually say I would find this a bit more interesting. Like, I had to imagine more in terms of the Hurricane Wars. Like, honestly, when they were doing like the challenges in the Fourth Wing, I kept on thinking about that Japanese game show wherein they had to like do this whole trial thing, like the big one, the ball one, wherein they had to jump or else they'll fall on the water. That's what I was thinking the whole time. So yeah, maybe I will go with the Hurricane Wars on this one. Like, I love Fourth Wing, I like Fourth Wing, but romantasy, romance and fantasy wise, objectively speaking, and I'm seeing this objectively, I think, and I mean, take a look at my rating. Even I rated this like 4 stars, and I think I rated this. Did I not rate this? Oh, that's kind of weird. But anyway, I remember rating this like 5 stars. I know I rated it 5 stars, but it was more for the vibes. When it comes to romance and fantasy, I think I would go with the Hurricane Wars. I would go with the Hurricane Wars. Okay. Next. Best fantasy. I've not read any of the. Oh, I have read some of these things. Okay, backtrack. No, I've read one of these things, and I have a lot of things here in my TBR. So, the one thing that I've read here is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. The rest is on my TBR, Chest of the Emerald Sea, Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I also have The Adventures of Mina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly. I'm so sorry. I love you, Shannon. I actually love her City of Brass trilogy, so I was so excited for this one. Just haven't had the time to pick it up yet. And then I also have this in my TBR, Fragile Threads of Power by V. Schwab. I've read the first book in the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. I have yet to read the second and third book, so I need to do that before I read this one. But yes, I would say, since I only have one thing that I read here, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and actually it's not that bad. I really liked it. I would probably vote for this. That was easy. Okay, next category. I probably have no clue what this is. Okay. Yeah, I have no clue what these books are. I know Pierce Brown, but I'm not gonna be choosing that book. And I know TJ Klune, and I love TJ Klune, so I will probably choose this book. Thank you so much for such an easy voting. Like I told you, if outside of fantasy, romance, I'm not your girly. Anyway, next category is best horror. I actually also know none of these, but I have heard about Silver Nitrate, and I heard it was scary AF, so I will vote for that. Yes, it was that easy. Now, best young adult fantasy and science fiction. Now, I've read some of these, of course. I've read a lot of them. I love it. Okay, so what are the ones I read? I read Threads That Bind. I'm actually very surprised this book is here. It's pretty good, but I don't see a lot of people talking about it. But it's a good book. Like, I would highly recommend it. So it's Threads That Bind by Kika Hatsupolo. I've read this one. I've also, of course, read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I have also read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. That one's really good. And then I just recently finished A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. And then I also read The Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. This is a hard choice. Okay, because young adult fantasy and science fiction. So I would probably lean more on the fantasy part. A lot of these are actually fantasy books. There are no science fiction books here. Why? That's unfair. I think that's unfair. They should make best young adult science fiction a separate genre just to like be fair with these other ones. But anyway, that aside, it's actually a hard decision because a lot of these books that I've read are really good. So Threads That Bind, again, a sleeper hit. This is really good. This is very actually, it's not a sleeper hit. It's a very underrated book. I loved it so much, but also not a lot of people talk about it. But I would say it's not an easy read. So I would probably like not vote for it right now. Divine Rivals is phenomenal, of course. Powerless is actually amazing. This is one of those things that also is underrated, and I really loved reading it. Like, it was so heart-pounding while I was reading it. A Curse for True Love is, of course, one of the most anticipated books of 2023. Did it live up to the expectations? I would say yes. Still yes, fairly. There's just some things that are weird choices for the author, directionally speaking, but yeah, I would still like read it. I still loved it. If I'm being honest about it, my choice is probably, of course there's also A Study in Drowning, let's not discount that, but it's not the best read for me this year, I would say, so I will also cross that out like Threads That Bind. So all in all, I would probably have to think about these three books: Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Carver. And I don't know, is it bad that I want to go Powerless by Lauren Roberts? Mainly because I know a lot of people will already choose A Curse for True Love and Divine Rivals. Is that bad? Is that bad? I don't think that's bad, right? Honestly, it's such a good book. A lot of people are talking about it, like no questions asked. But if I'm talking about like the amount of hype these books got based on how good it was, this one is probably underrated, because I would say, and this might be controversial, but I would say it's equally good to Stephanie Carver's Once Upon a Broken Heart and Divine Rivals. That might be a bit controversial, but or maybe I just really had no expectations coming in. Powerless, but it was pretty good. So I would probably yes. I love these three books. Like these are top for me. They're equal for me. But hear me out. I would choose Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and I would give my vote to Powerless by Lauren Roberts because I know a lot of you girlies out there will choose A Curse for True Love and Divine Rivals. These guys have enough fans. I will give it to Powerless by Lauren Roberts. And that's it. That's my vote. Okay, next up, Best Young Adult Fiction. Check and Mate got it here. When was the cutoff? Interesting. Okay, because this is a pretty recent release. Sorry, I really just had to grab this. This is a pretty recent release. Why is it here? Oh, that's kind of weird. Because from what I know, it got released the same time as Iron Flame. It also got released the same time as Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. And why is this year not those things? Curious. I wonder what their cutoff is. I should probably read the regulation stuff, but yeah, no, I don't have time for that. It's already 2:17 a.m. Okay, let's go through it one by one. I did not read any of these books. Okay, I take back what I said about YA. I like YA fantasy, apparently not YA fiction. At least not enough to be familiar with any of these books. Okay, I'm familiar with them. I just haven't read any of them. Okay, so which ones are the ones that I'm familiar with? Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, as evidenced by this copy right here. I do plan to read it. I am also familiar by the brothers author Jennifer Lynn Barnes, but like I didn't really like the Inheritance Games, at least the second book. The first book was fine. The second book just blew it out for me. Holly Jackson, Five Survive. I have never read Five Survive, but I have read The Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So I don't know why I said it that way. I have not read Five Survive, but I have read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I love that series so much. And then I've heard of Nine Liars, Maureen Johnson. So I would probably go with Five Survive by Holly Jackson. Just because Holly Jackson deserves this, I will vote. I love that. Next, best debut novel. I don't think I've read any of these things. Yeah, I have not read any of these things. Okay, interesting. Since this one is, I'm very familiar with it. I think a lot of people, I think a BookBox subscription did like a feature of this book. I would rate this. Yes, sure. That's it. Best debut novel, I picked Ink Blood Sister Scribe by Emma Torres. Okay, next category please. Okay, we are entering unfamiliar territory. I have no clue what these books are. But there is a peach here, and I find this cover very funny, along with the tagline. So it says, "Butts, a Backstory" by Heather Radke. And for that, you deserve my vote. Butts, a Backstory for best nonfiction. I don't make the rules. Okay, best memoir, Autobiography. I have also never read any of these, but come on, Britney Spears. She deserves everything. I'm just gonna vote for her. Yeah, no questions asked. I will vote for her. Best history and biography. Definitely not this guy. I will not vote for that guy for anything. I will say I am a romantic at heart, and I saw Star-Crossed here. A true Romeo and Juliet story in Hitler's Paris. I love that for them. I will vote for you. Okay. Is that the last one? Oh, there's humor. This is the last genre. This is the last genre. It's called Best Humor, and of course I have not read any of these books, but let's see. Congratulations, the best is over. Quietly Hostile. Unreliable narrator. A History of England's Kings and Queens. I think this is funny. I would go for the funniest title, and I say, sure, I'll join your cult. A memoir of mental illness and a quest to belong anywhere. I think that's very funny and gut-wrenching at the same time, and that's what humor is anyway, right? So I will vote for this one. Best humor. Perfect. I have now voted for all the categories, as you can see here. Goodreads Choice Awards 2023. For fiction, I voted for Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. For historical fiction, I voted for The Echo of Old Books by Barbara Davis. I have no clue what this is. For Best Mystery Thriller, I voted for Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. For Best Romance, I voted for The Right Move by Liz Tomford, as I should. For Best Romantasy, I voted for The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon. For Best Fantasy, I voted for Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. For Best Science Fiction, I voted for In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. For Best Horror, I voted for Silver Nightshade by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. For Best YA Fantasy and Science Fiction, I voted for Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and I stand by my choice. For Best YA Fiction, meanwhile, I voted for Five Survive by Holly Jackson. For Best Debut Novel, I voted for for Best Debut Novel, I voted for Ink Blood Sister Scribe by Emma Torres. For Nonfiction, I voted for Butts, a Backstory. You know what? This should be part of the humor category. I love that. And then for Best Memoir and Autobiography, I voted for The Woman in Me, Britney Spears, My Girl, yes. And then Best History and Biography, I voted for Star-Crossed, a true Romeo and Juliet story in Hitler's Paris. And last but not least, for Best Humor, I voted for the funniest title, Sure, I'll Join Your Cult, a memoir of mental illness and the quest to belong anywhere. So that's it for the Goodreads Choice Awards 2023. Those are my votes for the first round. I will probably do another video once the second round or the final round opens up, and I will see you there. Thanks so much for watching.